Welcome to Under Glass. I'm Ryan Douglas, and today's episode, Overcomplicated. So they say with age comes wisdom, and at my age, I don't know so much about the wisdom part, but one thing I've gotten really good at is recognizing when an industry is about to make the same mistake twice. And one pattern that I keep seeing across cannabis and vertical farms and really controlled environment agriculture more broadly is the tendency to overcomplicate before the fundamentals are proven. And I think it shows up in a few predictable ways. So the first is differentiation pressure. So when you're raising capital, you need a story, right? Something that makes you special, something that gives you a competitive edge. But the problem is when that story becomes the product. And vertical farms, I think, are a perfect example of that. So, a lot of those operations sold the ag tech more than the ag, and we all know how that ended, right? The second is kind of the more is better instinct. And I saw this constantly in cannabis. So founders would walk into an investor meeting and they would boast about how many different varieties they would be growing. 50 cultivars, 75 cultivars, 100 cultivars, and I later ran a greenhouse where across a 20-acre range, we grew one single tomato variety. And it's not because tomatoes are easier to cultivate at scale, it's just because that's how commercial cultivation usually works. And the fundamentals don't change just because the crop is cannabis. I mean, if you can't grow 5 varieties at scale successfully, you're never going to do it with 50. Now, the third way this shows up is through impatience. If an idea looks good on paper, why wait? And App Harvest is an example that I keep coming back to. So you had multiple facilities, millions of square feet, new crews, multiple crops, and all of that was led by someone that didn't have prior experience in CEA. So it was a long list of firsts all at once, and really high risk to anyone that's familiar with commercial cultivation at scale. And we also saw how that turned out. So I don't think this is a startup problem or a cannabis problem. I think it's a human problem. And it resurfaces every time that capital gets optimistic. So now the industry is in kind of a quiet period. So you have much fewer build-outs and a lot of kind of cautious investors. But that's going to change. And when confidence comes back, so too will all the pitch decks. Novel models, exciting differentiation, compelling technology. But the one question that nobody will be asking will be the only one that matters, which is, have you proven it at 20 acres before you do it at 200? Because if you can't do it at 20 acres, I can tell you exactly what happens at 200.